בשם השם נעשה ונצליח בכבוד.
הלכות ציצית. ויאמר אברהם אל מלך סדום, הרימותי ידי אל השם, אל עליון קונה שמיים וארץ. Avraham Avinu says to the king of Sodom, I raised my hand toward Hashem, like literally raising your hand toward Hashem, Koneh Shamayim V'Aretz, the owner of the Shamayim and the Aretz here. Im michut ve'atzroch nal ve'im mikach mikol asher lach ve'lo tomar ani hesharti et Avraham. He says to Melech Sodom, when Melech Sodom comes and after he defeats all the kings and saves Sodom, he says he wants to bring him gift. And Avraham Avinu doesn't accept his gift.
Right.
It says, if from the chut ve'atzroch nal, and if I from the shoelaces, or from even one thread of any clothing, I'm not going to take from you. I'm not going to take anything from you. Mikol asher lach ve'lo tomar ani esharti et Avraham. Because then I don't want you to go and say, look, I made him rich. I gave him all these gifts. Because he knew the mentality of Melech Sodom.
Right.
But we know from another place that Avraham Avinu did accept the gift of Melech Mitzrayim when he realized that Sarah was his wife. So the question is, why did he accept it that time and he's refusing it this time? So it says, the Rabbi Milovavitch brings it in a beautiful midrash. It says that in that case, with the king of Mitzrayim, he was doing a Kiddush Hashem. Why? Because people will come and say, even if the Melech Mitzrayim would say, look, I made him rich. He says, people would come and say, wow, Avraham Avinu, Baruch Hashem, you have all this stuff. He would say, yeah, Melech Mitzrayim gave it to me. They would say, why? Then he would show how Melech Mitzrayim did teshuvah. That's why he wanted to raise his. But here
there is nothing to be learned.
There is nothing to be learned. It's basically he went to war and he didn't want it to become as if has the gava. Because what? Melech Sodom would say, look, I gave it to him, and say, why? Oh, because he defeated all these kings. Then it wouldn't, the kavod would not belong to Borei Olam. It would belong to Avraham. And Avraham Avinu saw that Beruach HaKodesh, that B'chokhmah, that he refused it. Zichronam Livracha, b'zchut Avraham Avinu alav hashalom, shelo ratza lehenot me'rashaim והרים ידו בשבועה ואמר אם מיchut ואצרוך נעל זכו בניו לשתי מצוות שהם שמירה להם בעולם הזה ובעולם הבא, והם מצוות ציצית ותפילין. לכן נביא כאן בקיצור מצוות ציצית, בזכותם נזכה להישמר מזקי גוף ונשמה התלויים בלב ועיניים, שנאמר ולא תטור אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם וכולי. So it says, because of this chesed, because of the sacrifice that Avraham Avinu did and did not accept the gift, Am Yisrael were zoche to be the owners of two mitzvot that basically keep the person alive in this world and become his merits, his zechut in olam haba, which is tefillin, talit, ve'tfilin. And it says, b'zchut of these two, a person would be saved from hezekei guf v'neshama. He would not harm or put a blemish or a mark on his neshama, because these two mitzvot go against two of the ta'avot, of desires that every man has, even if he doesn't admit to it, which is what? Shemirat Einayim, which is Shemirat Einayim and the heart, being able to not be all feelings. one of the ways is if a person does something and he regrets it, it's asur, as we read before, for him to be too much in sorrow, too much in regret. Hashem says, okay, I understand, this is part of the Shuvah, but he needs to really get up and do something about it. So he says the mitzvah of Tzizit and Tefillin help us do that. מצוות ציצית היא אחד מהדברים שהאדם זוכה על ידה ורואה פני שכינה משמע מהכתובים שהיהודים שישארו לעת קץ יהיו מצוינים במצוות ציצית, כדכתיב ובא 10 אנשים מכל לשונות הגויים והחזיקו בכנף איש יהודי וגומר ואמרו חכמים זכרם לברכה, כל הזהיר במצוות ציצית זוכה ומשמשים לו 2,800 עבדים. Wow. So Mitzvah Tzizit is one of those things that a person who makpid on it and does it correctly can actually get to see the face of the Shekhinah. And it says, and then it says the Yehudim that would remain in the door of the Milchamot at the end would be armed. Metzuyanim means armed, but mitzvah tzizit, and they had the mitzvah of tzizit.
Hashem protects them.
There's a big protection. ובא 10 אנשים מכל לשונות הגויים והחזיקו בכנף איש יהודי וגומר ואומר חכמים זכרם לברכה, כל הזהיר במצוות ציצית זוכה שמשמשים לו 2,800 עבדים. Wow.
That whoever keeps this mitzvah, Hashem will give him, in the terms of Mashiach, 2,800
slaves.
Halacha bet. Mitzvah la'asot talit na'eh v'sisit na'ot. It's a mitzvah to have beautiful talit with the beautiful sisiyot. והוא הדין לכל מצוות שצריך לעשות אותם בהידור, that every mitzvah also needs to be glorified. עד כמה שאפשר שנמזה אלי וענווהו. Until how much, how do we know this? עד כמה אפשר, as much as possible. Right? But halachically we say up to 1/3, right? From the basic price. Now, what is the source? As the Pasuk says, Ze Eli v'anveu, this is my Hashem and I adorn him. Qana talit chadash v'asa sisiyot mevarech she'echianu kesheit'atepo. When a person acquires, this is referring to talit gadol, because we do not say on talit chatan she'echianu unless if it is a very special one. Right? If a person gets this talit with sisiyot, he needs to also make birkat she'echianu. Right? ובתפילין אין צריך לברך she'echianu. Tefillin does not have she'echianu. ורתן היודע להתעטף אביו צריך לרנות לו סיסית ולחנכו. And if the child has the awareness of how to put on talit, sisit, his father is obligated to buy him one and to show him how to put it on. V'hai chatan yesh omrim ben 9 shanim. What is this chatan? What is how old? There are those who say 9 years old. V'yesh omrim hapiqeach ben 6 shanim ve'eno piqeach ben 7. If it's a piqeach, right, even 6 years. And if he's not a piqeach, 7 years, 7-year-old. ומותר להיכנס בבית הכיסא מלובש בטלית קטן. And a person is allowed to go to בית הכיסא, to restroom, while wearing the טלית קטן. אבל לא בטלית גדול המיוחד לתפילה, but obviously not with טלית גדול that we use for prayers, the prayer shawl. ועין כף החיים, as it says in כף החיים. Right? And also in Mishnah Berurah, Ubekitve Ari, and Ariza it's written in the writings of Arizal, Zichronon Livracha, Katuv al pi hasod, that according to Sod, Sheyesh lishkav balayla betalit katan, that a person should sleep at night with his talit katan on. V'sarich lehizaher la'asot neqev shel talit שתולעים בו הסיסית שלא יהיה משלוש אצבעות באורך משפת הבגד. And he needs to make sure that the negev, the hole of the talit, right, that the sisit is coming out from it, שלא יהיה משולש, right, that it should not be more than 3 by 3 אצבעות. והם אמה קמיסה וזרת. So the measurement has to be the correct below. וגם לא למטה מן השיעור הזה בין המסד אורך התהליך ובין רוחב התהליך. So nowadays the talit that we get is already made, is ready, is okay according to this opinion that it should not become pasul, because if it's too short it could be beracha levatala ve'ayin ayin shenot chaim. Further you could see it there in a certain section, ומי שעשה הנגב למעלה או למטה מהשיעור, and one who makes this negev, this hole, more than this size, right, צריך להתיר הסיסית תחילה ויתקן הנגב במקום הראוי, then he needs to fix it. אבל אם לאחר שהטיל הסיסית הבגד כדין וכדן ניגנו מחוטי השתי אור הערב מדוח הנמר וידוע לזוז למטה בשביל זה כשר. After he made it, if a little bit this hole got bigger, it's still kosher. It's still kosher. וגם ייזהר לחתוך כשיעור 3 אצבעות מסביב כל כנף מהחוטין שבולטין סביבות הכנף קודם שיטיל הסיסית בטלית. And also a person needs to be careful to for this measurement, I should not rip through it, that the sisiyot should be hanging onto the talit. Halacha gimel, im itil Israel sisit beged shelo bekavana, כלומר שלא נתכוון לשם מצוות סיסית. יש פוסטים ויש מכשירים, וההלכה כספרה הפוסטים. If a person tied the sisiyot without having kavanah l'shem mitzvat for the sake of talit, then there are those who say this is kosher, there are those who say it's not kosher, right, and it's pasul. לכן צריך להתירם ויחזור ויעטילם ויאמר בפיו לשם מצוות סיסית. And he needs to open it and say beforehand, this is for לשם מצוות סיסית, for the sake of the מצוות סיסית. ואם הוא שבת ואי אפשר להתירם ולהכשירם ואין לו תענית אחרת ויש לסמוך על המתירים באותו יום דווקא. And if you remember that he did not say לשם מצוות סיסית and he made the סיסית and it's on Shabbat, obviously he cannot untie those ties, right? And therefore he can rely on those poskim that they say it's still okay, right? Only for the sake of Shabbat. After Shabbat he needs to redo it. ויש לסמוך על המתירים אך לא יברך משום ספק ברכות לאחר. ואחר Shabbat, and after Shabbat יתארגננה בכוונה. One should do it with כוונה. ולכן כל אדם לא יסמוך בהטלת החוטים ותיקונן אלא באדם ירא שמיים. A person needs to give his sisit to a person who is ירא שמיים to make it, how to do it לשם מצוות. ועל כן יזהר לומר בפיו, הריני מטיל סיסיות אלו לשם מצוות סיסית. I should say that I tying these sisiyot for the mitzvah of sisit, לשם מצוות סיסית, right? ולכן הזמן בתרב, right? ועל כן ייזהר לומר בפיו. Therefore a person needs to be careful saying حرنی متر سیسیود الو یعنی یش عمریم کل دواش صریخ کوانا لشه میسوا لشه صریخ لحوسی کوانا بسفتاو عزیز سازین پاس فازه زمان روبا دعالما قبل شلو يلباش آخرين ترديد بتفلين شلهم لخن ان نكخ من الشماس تسير بتفلين شل آخرين شلو مدعات بعلام بعليم إلا إمكان يودع شماس برور شابلهم لو يقفدو. Now if it comes out to be that a person doesn't have access to his Tzizit or Tzizit, Talit Gadol or Tefillin, do not just go ahead and get one from the Gabbai. Make sure that if the owner is okay with it, right? Because otherwise you cannot use it, or you cannot even make bracha on it. So you need to ask the Gabbai, as it says over here. You need to ask. Bekatub bebenishchai. It says in Benishchai parashat in the parashat Bereshit. Seder atifat talit gadol kachu. How do you put on talit gadol? Achaz yom haberacha ta'atof bo roshecha bilvad. After you say the bracha, wrap it around your head. Velo ke'otam Amir hakemin la'atof kol guf mitechila. Not all like those who do the whole body. No, only your head. Then lanu ela divrei Ariz zichronan livracha. This is according to Arizal. Va'achar she'ta'af sha'atof bo roshecha. After you wrap it around your head, right? You arba kenafot yordin. Then you have all the four sisiot coming in front, right? Al aketafaim lesat aponim, shenayim lesat ayamin. Two on right and two on left. Veze sheyachros techila bishnayim shel sad yamin. And this is that you take the two from right side and you put it on the left side. Etashlichem la'chorecha lesat semol. And then you put the semol to the semol. V'yu keruvim seviv savarecha al kinaf al katef asemali la'achor. V'tachso v'tashlich et hasemalim gam ken la'chorecha lesat asemol, as we said. So first you put the first two sisiot on the right side to the left side, and then the left to the back of the left, right? And after that you open it, covering it your whole body, right? Halacha he gadol onesh hamevatel mitzvat tzitzit, right? That chas v'shalom, the person who is not doing the mitzvah of tzitzit, his punishment is great. Whoever is careful with the tzitzit of mitzvah tzitzit, he would merit to see Hashem's the Shekhinah. V'yesh b'tzitzit chamisha resharim. Tzitzit, the tzitzit has 5 knots. Keneged chamisha chumshei Torah, right? That is corresponding to the 5 Sifrei Torah: Bereshit, Shemot, Vayikra, Bamidbar, Devarim. Va'arba hakenafot kedei lechol nesad sheifne iskor amitzvot. That, and it has 4 kanafot, right? That this refers to the 4 corners. That wherever you turn, you need to do mitzvot. V'sarich kol echad she'edar shiur godel atalit chatan. וכדי לשאת בו כל הדעות הוא אמה על אמה. A person needs to know the measurement of a talit gadol, that it needs to be according to all opinions. 1 amma by 1 amma. Milfanav v'amma al amma menacharav. 1 amma from the bottom, from the front, right, and 1 from the back. V'chad negev asavar. V'shiur amma hu chaf bet godlim. Right, or the shiur of amma is 48 centimeters, 24 gudalim. אבל פחות מזה שיעור יש חשש ברכה לבטלה. Less than this, it could be cheshash, the fear that is bracha levatala. Right? אבל הרב בן איש חי כתב שצריך לעשות הרוכב כף בית גדולים, לכן אם הוא פחות מהשיעור, ילבשנה בלי ברכה. So if the תלמיד קטן is less than this, right, we refer to talit that it has to be this size. If it's less than this size, then there is no bracha required. בשעת הברכה יחוס התלמיד גדול בשתי ידיו ויברך מעומד. When a person wants to make a bracha on talit gadol, he needs to have it holding onto it with two hands and say the bracha while standing. Leitatef v'sisid. We're talking about talit gadol. V'shava tachat habet. Right? That it should be not basisid, besisid. Right? It's a sheva under bed. ואלו שמניחים הטלית בשער העטיפה רק סביב סברם על כתפיהם, אין יוצאין ידי חובתם וסיסיד וגורעים בו. And those who do not wrap it around their head, they are not יוצא. ויש נוהגים להסתכל בסיסית כשמגיעים בקריאת שמע איתם אותו, and one should look at his sisiot by Shema when he gets to the section that you should see them. ומניחים אותם על העיניים, should, or some would actually rub them against their eyes. וכתוב במשנה ברורה, it says in משנה ברורה בשם הקדמונים, in the name of our rabbis in the past, right? שכל המעביר סיסית על עיניו כשקורא פרשת סיסית יהיה מובטח שלא יבוא לידי סימוי עיניים. That whoever takes the sisiot and would touch his eyes when it says sisit, he is less assured that he would not have a problem of simui chas v'shalom, becoming blind. Ve'ita b'zohar HaKadosh, and it is mentioned in Zohar HaKadosh, parashat shelach lecha, hakoreh qiriyat shema beli sisit. If a person is reading Shema without sisit, me'id edut sheker ba'asmo, it is as if he is giving false testimony against himself, because in the Shema it talks about the Mitzvat Tzizit, Shechore Parashat Tzizit ve'eno megayem, that he is reading Parashat Tzizit and he is not fulfilling it. Im sha'al talit mesuyeset, if a person borrowed Tzizit, Im sha'al ota lilbosha kedei la'alot l'sefer Torah, if he borrowed to for the sake of going to make bikat Torah, or leduchan, or to go, if he's a Kohen and to go duchan, lekayose, or things of similar. Let's say he is Abi Aben and he is going he wants to wear a talit because he's Abi Aben. These areas he would not make bracha on it. אבל אם שאל בעבור לקיים מצוות ציצית, הרי אם שאלו מן השמש שלא מדעת בעדים, לא יברך עליו. לברכות אינה מעכבת. But if he is asking it for ציצית, if he is asking it for mitzvah, if he is just asking from shamash, without the permission of the owners, that may I use this tzizit, he should not say bracha on it. Bracha is not ma'akev. וכיוון דהית פלוגתא ספק ברכות האחר. Yeah. וכיוון דהית. So because there is safek barachot, you should not say baracha. Aval im sha'al midat abalim. But if he asks with the permission of the owners, they tateful l'chayim mitzvah Tzizit, to use the Tzizit, yochal levarech, then he can make baracha. The amrinan mistama, not to know b'matana ad menat achsi, that perhaps they give it to him as a gift that should be brought back, and he can, and he's hare shehu Shelo, and his neck is his for now. Fargaf, nevertheless, the yam was a yesh omrim the end of the talit sheula kilal. That there are those who say that one should never make bracha talit that he is asking, that he borrowed. Mikol magom yesh lismoch al haminhag, then nimchot biyad mevarech. מכל מקום יש לסמוך על מנהג, one should rely on this מנהג, ואין למחות ביד המברך, and should not, right, if he is not sure, should not say bracha. He should always bring his own talit, that this way he would not have a problem. ומיהו ירא שמיים מתרחק מטלית שאולה, a God-fearing person always refrains, stays away from talit שאולה. הטליות של הקדש המונחים בבית הכנסת בתורת סדרה, לדבוש אותם שאין להם טליתות, and the טליתות that they have in בית הכנסת can be worn when he doesn't have his talit. לכולי עלמא יברך. By the talit of Beit HaKnesset, according to everyone, can say bracha. Right? ובעניין להתיר סיסיות בלילה, כתוב בנשחי, שמותר להתיר הסיסיות בלילה ולרשם בטלית המיוחד ליום. It is מותר. It's mutar to put the sisiot on talit during night. יברך. שמותר לעזן. יהי רצון בזכות מצוות ציצית, may it be the will of Hashem in the זכות of מצוות ציצית, והארבע can פותיו and its four corners נזכה לחיפוש כל גלויותינו. מהארבע can for that Hashem should gather us together from the four corners. Asenu b'kedusha u'tahara, to our land with kedusha and tahara. Uba'u l'Sion beina usmichat olam al rosham. Amen. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen.